Ladies and gentlemen, we are less than a week away from Premier League action, from European action, and the football world returning. This version 3.0 of my Premier League table prediction is quite an important one because obviously it's my final table prediction prior to the league starting. There's one more kind of important one, which for me is after the transfer window closes, because obviously big transfers can happen. You know, a team I might have in, I don't know, third or fourth, if they sign Kylian Mbappe, maybe I have them being champions. Maybe I have them finishing second, right? You know, a team that I might just have going down, they sign the perfect player, I might have them avoiding relegation. So there are two big table predictions. This is one of them, arguably the most important one as well, because it's before we've seen any teams play. As per usual, I say as per usual, there's only been two other versions of this video, which again, please feel free to go and check out my previous videos to see where teams have gone from and to. But what I'm going to do is slowly make my way, I say slowly because I talk too much, I'm going to make my way through the whole table. We're going to go from 20th right through to first, give some of my thoughts. Again, a lot of the teams where my thoughts haven't really changed, I'm probably going to gloss over them quite quickly, try and keep the video a little bit faster paced. I think I'm averaging about 40 minutes at the moment, which for 20 teams is not too bad, if I do say so myself. But anyway, without any further ado, let's look at how teams have potentially shuffled around here in my latest version 3.0 Premier League predictions prior to the league season starting. Yes, no surprise, Luton Town are 20th. Again, repeating myself a lot, those of you who've seen the last two videos, I will be saying much the same things for some of these teams. Guys, Luton Town are not a Premier League football team. They're not ready for the Premier League football team. However, this is the team I want to prove me wrong the most. I want these guys to stay up. I want them to make their money. I want them to do very, very well. That would make me very, very happy. Love a good underdog story. But again, state of the facilities, state of the stadium, state of the squad, the amount of money being spent, nothing points to Luton Town being a success in the Premier League. And, you know, my point here has largely been, you know, Derby County and their horrible record in the Premier League. Better watch out, because Luton Town might have something to say about it. But yeah, I'd love them to prove me wrong, but I don't think it's going to be a good year for Luton Town. But again, I said this in the other videos. Guys, take your money, take your parachute payments, right? Put the money in the right areas, come back when you're more, you know, assembled to remain in the Premier League. We've seen some fantastic stories, the likes of Brentford, the likes of Brighton, Bournemouth, that there are some really, really nice teams who've come up in the right way, spent their money the right way, and are now somewhat established Premier League football teams, and that's surely always got to be the goal. So hopefully that'll happen for Luton Town. 19th, Sheffield United. Many of the same reasons. I just don't think the quality's there. You know, a couple of players I like. You know, again, not overly familiar with the team, but guys, the Premier League, generally speaking, is very strong at the moment. If you look at some of the managers we have in the league, some of just generally, like, we're looking at transfers now where you go, who is going where? Where historically you'd look at some of these players, you know, Aston Villa are a great example. They signed Pau Torres. Guys, Pau Torres was linked with all the top teams in the world, basically, at one time, and is now going to be playing for Aston Villa, right? Lucas Paqueta, again, linked to loads and loads of top teams. He plays for West Ham. You know, okay, Newcastle are kind of getting back to where they were, you know, a decade plus ago. But, you know, Bruno Guimaraes, Sandro Tonali plays for Newcastle for tens of millions, nearly 100 million euros. So, you know, we're dealing with teams, even like not top half of the table teams, who are capable of signing and retaining these top quality players who, if some of these teams played in any other leagues, they might be right up there in the Champions League places and maybe even title contenders. That's just what we're dealing with. The likes of Sheffield United, the likes of Luton Town, just not quite on that level, unfortunately. I've still got, and again, I'm trying to motor through these because these three I really have set in stone here. Everton are the ones I want to talk about a teensy bit more, obviously, because we know what Sean Dyche is capable of. We know what Everton can be capable of as well. And in terms of a marriage, I think that Sean Dyche and Everton, it's fine for what it is. It's not where Everton want to be, but it's fine for what it is. They're not going to concede too many goals relative to their position, but their problem is going to be scoring goals. Modern football, and I know people probably make fun of me for saying this, modern football a lot more of the time is about outscoring opponents. There is more space in football now on break. Transition is huge. Counter-pressing is huge. This is where games are kind of won and lost now. The whole kind of basketball style that football used to be, which was a team dominating possession and the low block thing, doesn't really work anymore for these low block teams. And I just don't think that Everton will have the goal output to do their thing. They're never going to get embarrassed. There'll be a few draws and maybe the odd win by a 1-goal margin. But Sean Dyche and Everton aren't going to blow anyone away. And with a lack of a goal-scoring threat, this is always going to be their problem. The years of a younger Lukaku at Everton are long gone now. And Dominic Calvert-Lewin, we know he can get kind of streaky and hot, but I don't think that's going to be enough of a goal threat for them to stay up. But again, doubting Sean Dyche, it's been done before and it didn't go very well. Moving up to 17th, just avoiding the drop, are Bournemouth. I actually really like what Bournemouth have done this off-season. Iraola's come in, the manager. He was appointed relatively early in pre-season, end of last season, kind of. A lot of the signings have been in line with what you think he's going to want out of the team. And again, great. A team like Bournemouth should not be avoiding relegation compared to a team like Everton. It just shouldn't happen. But in terms of the way they're operating, in terms of the way they're handling business, I do think Bournemouth will be capable of staying up again. I really do. And again, I think coming into the new season, especially over the first maybe 8 to 10 game weeks, I think Bournemouth might, especially at home, be able to surprise a couple of people. And let's hope they do. I'm a South Coast boy, right? These are all things that I want. Moving up to 16th, and well, I say moving on to 16th, dropping a spot. I do have Crystal Palace now. Crystal Palace, again, I think there's just a little bit of an identity crisis. Obviously, we've seen a lot of leaks and kind of rumours about Michael Elise and Eze, potentially teams like Chelsea, teams like Manchester City kind of eyeing them up and trying to take the talent away. We know we've lost the likes of Wilfred Zaha. Guys, again, I like Crystal Palace. I think they're a fun team. They've always been an exciting team to watch. But Roy Hodgson is your manager. I think he's, what was he now? 76, I want to say. I'm really sorry if I've aged him wrong there. But yeah, Roy Hodgson, he's not going to mess anything up, but he's also not going to blow anybody away. I don't think we're going to see any true development out of this Palace team. And again, like I said to you, I think there's a little bit of an identity crisis here. It's 2023. Roy Hodgson is your manager. All your best players are being linked with moves away. I don't know. Zaha's gone. That's been a real kind of spearhead of your team and real talisman of your team for a long time. I'm not expecting too much out of Crystal Palace, but again, they do have some of these X-factor players, some of these talented guys, and again, young, exciting British talent too that could upset a few teams. I don't think they will. Personally, I think the quality of the league across the board is too high, so I've got them dropping a spot. Here's the big one, and this is, I'd argue, I should even maybe call a video this. Guys, I got Wolves dropping 4 spots. They're in 15th now. And I'm not going to lie to you, by the time the end of this transfer window, if Julian Lopetegui's there and they haven't made any decent signings, they might be rivaling Everton for that 18th spot. Lots of doom and gloom around Wolves. Lopetegui does not take bad performances and inadequacy lying down. So obviously he's had a couple of interviews, one with I saw with Guillaume Balaguer, where he talks about the direction of the club, quality of the club, and just generally speaking where Wolves are going. Guys, Wolves have a good team. Don't get it twisted. I know that we'll scroll right to the bottom here for W. I know that obviously, that's kind of glaring. Ruben Neves, 26 years old, incredible player. Obviously, got a great fee for him. Nathan Collins as well, young, talented guy, has gone to Brentford. Connor Cody has gone. Jimenez goes to, obviously, he wasn't up to much, especially at the age of 32. But again, we scroll up, and here's the guys we have coming in. Cunha, as much as the transfer was agreed this year, Matheus Cunha's already been there. Boubacar Traore from Metz, holding midfielder. Okay, I guess that's the Neves replacement, or at least they're going to promote, somebody off the bench. Who they have? Is it Nunez? Mateus Nunez? They've got a really nice holding midfielder who I do legitimately believe can come in and help them. But guys, that expenditure is not really quite right because Matheus Cunha has been there since last season. So we can basically call it 11 million spent and 105 that's come in. Now, if you are a manager like Lopetegui, who is a Spain manager, a Real Madrid manager, he wants this team to develop and to be competing in European competitions. And the way they're operating right now does not reflect that at all. I was really optimistic about them and really high on Wolves. At the end of last season, just because I saw a lot of talent. I saw an insanely good manager who's way bigger than Wolverhampton Wanderers Football Club, and I had some kind of hope and some some optimism for them. But again, there's a lot of negativity around the club, and the transfer window for them has been really, really poor thus far. So yeah, dropping 4 spots, Wolves, and I'm really gutted because I was really excited for Wolves, and it was an opinion that I had that I felt, generally speaking, pretty good about. Anyway, we'll move on. Yeah, bit of a drop for Wolves there, down to 15th. Next up, we have a slightly rising, a little bit, West Ham. I did have West Ham in a 16th position because I thought losing Rice was a really, really big deal. And I looked at just the state of the squad. They had a bad year, but were in a better position last year than they are this year. Gianluca Scamacca has now gone to Atalanta as well. Again, I know it didn't quite work for him at West Ham, but there's still a really, really good player in there. I'm not going to hear any slander about Scamacca because he's still a top quality player and was still easily the best striker that the West Ham had at their disposal. Just wasn't being used properly or just didn't quite work out. Declan Rice going is huge. You've still got the likes of, Lucas Paqueta, Said Benrahma, Kufal, Souček, that, centre-backs are in a strong spot as well. Cresswell, there's West Ham are a good team, but I need to see them do stuff in the transfer market. However, with Scamacca going, with Rice going, with a little bit of friction with David Moyes and about how they're handling transfers, supposedly something to do with Maguire and McTominay and not wanting to get something like that. I think I remember reading about trying to get somebody in the board going, no, we're not having it. I think this friction is good. I think that if Moyes leaves, the guy coming in will light a fire under this squad of talented players and the squad is more talented than the teams around them right now in terms of my table prediction. So I do think money will be spent. I think it will be a little late, but I do think maybe West Ham will be kind of a slow burn and they'll come into their stride maybe after Christmas based on the way this preseason has gone so far. Again, just a prediction on my part. We'll have to see. Next up, West Ham up 2 spots. Next up, Nottingham Forest have bumped up a spot as well. Let's stick them in there. Nottingham Forest have gone up a spot as well. Yeah, guys, Forest scare the hell out of me. Brennan Johnson, Morgan Gibbs-White. Yeah, there's some... Forest have good players. I don't even know what other way to say it. They have talented young players. Anthony Elanga comes in. Chris Wood provides a bit of kind of veteran leadership as well, coming in as well for them. In terms of players they've lost, they've managed to retain a lot of their, higher quality players as well. I just think that my main complaints about Nottingham Forest last year was there was this huge squad turnover. Loads of players being signed, loads of players being sold, similar to what Chelsea have done over the last 18 months. And Forest are kind of in this spot of like, I don't even know your first name, or I don't even know your last name. I don't even know what club you came from. I don't know who's going to be sat next to me in the dressing room. They're now in a spot slightly moved on from that a little bit, where you can actually be like, okay, some relationships are forming here. Some centre-back partnerships, midfield partnerships, winger to striker, attacking midfielder to number 9, right? Goalkeeper to set, like, some relationships are now forming within the squad. There will be some sort of leadership forming as well. There'll be some sort of social dynamics, just generally speaking, that are happening amongst the Nottingham Forest squad now, and I think it's all positive. Again, you combine that with the talent and it being focused in the right direction, I think they are potentially going to do well. But again, I've mentioned this. I look at the quality across the league. It's hard to compete with some of these guys. Really hard. Anyway, Forest go up a spot. Next up for me, and again, moving into kind of the mid-table section here, I got Brentford. Yeah, again, Brentford are a really good team. I used to live really, really near Brentford as well, so I kind of do want to see them do well. I do like Brentford, really like Thomas Frank, love the atmosphere and the vibe at home games that Brentford bring as well. The one thing I'm slightly concerned about now, I feel like we're slightly getting to a point where it's a little bit not predictable, but we know what we're going to get from Brentford, and I mean that not in a good way. If you're not moving forward and developing and changing within the footballing world, you're standing still, and other teams will catch you up and surpass you. Again, let's just look at some of their activity here. They've gone past them. No, here we go. So Nathan Collins coming in. I really like that signing. Kevin Schade as well from Freiburg coming in. Again, really nice signing. Mark Flecken is largely speaking an unremarkable signing as well. A couple of guys have left. Again, nice additions, but I don't think that, you know, kind of a young Irish centre back and a German Nigerian winger is going to make a world of difference for this Brentford team. Again, I still have them, Brentford Football Club, I still have 12th in the Premier League. It's still an insane achievement. I'm worried for them going forward because generally speaking, and this is kind of my honesty part coming out, I do look at the squad quality at Brentford Football Club, and I do think, you know, with a bad run of form, it starts to look a hell of a lot like Bournemouth. It starts to look a hell of a lot like Sheffield United, Nottingham Forest, right? It starts to look like these kind of guys where you go, oh yeah, some of those are championship players. Do you know what I mean? It's Thomas Frank not doing so well and a bad run of form away from, oh yes, Brentford is a championship team. When what they should be doing is kind of copying the likes of, you know, Brighton and all this kind of stuff where you go, whoa, like we got some contenders here. They need to be having that development aspect of it. But again, Brentford move up a spot from 13th to 12th for me. Also, because of Wolves dropping so much, jumping up a spot is Burnley. Yeah, guys, again, I'll repeat this just because I think it's so interesting, and I think I'm higher on Burnley than most people this year. Guys, they had 3 losses last year in the Championship. In the Championship, which is arguably the hardest division in the world of football to play in. I'm not kidding when I say that. It's so competitive, so competitive. The difference between the team that gets promoted and the team that gets relegated is not that big of a gap. There's a way bigger gap between the champions of the Premier League and the guys who finish 20th than the guys who win the Championship and the guys who finish 22nd, 24th. Massively so. 3 losses is huge. Most goals last year in the Championship. Least goals conceded in the Championship as well. And an average possession of 64.6%. That's an insane achievement for Vincent Kompany and this Burnley team. Guys, remember, this is Burnley. This is Sean Dyche Burnley that we all remember from way back when. Turf Moor, hard place to go, good defensive British football team, right? Vincent Kompany is changing the narrative around Burnley in a major way. Now, I recommend everybody goes to watch The Overlap with Gary Neville, where Burnley, Vincent Kompany is interviewed on that as well. And again, there starts to get this kind of conversation of, do you stick or twist? Are you going to do a low block Sean Dyche type deal with Burnley in the Premier League? Guys, Vincent Kompany's not that dude. Vincent Kompany is going to come in and he's going to try and do the exact same principles that he had at Burnley last year, and he's going to try and bring them into the Premier League. And I think it's going to catch a lot of teams off guard. I really, really do. And I think it's the right call. It's high risk, but also I think it's high reward as well. The average possession is going to come down. They're not going to score the most goals in the league. They're not going to concede the least goals in the league. They're not only going to lose 3 games. It will be a challenge for them. But there'll be upgrades across the squad. I know that they've not been massively active in the transfer window, but I think the guys they've brought in, so Amdouni from Basel, James Trafford, I think is a really good pickup as well in the goalkeeper position. Jordan Bayer from Mönchengladbach, Dara O'Shea. Again, guys, and look at the ages of these guys that are being brought in as well. 22, 20, 23, 24, 22, 18. And then Redmond, again, gets a little bit of experience in there. He's probably a good pro. Couple of guys who've left as well. Again, some older names in there. And guys, I guess, who are just not good enough. And also, if his market value is 450,000, you've got 2.3 million for Bobby Thomas. Something's gone right there. I'm optimistic about Burnley. I am. And I think they'll be fun to watch, and it'll be a totally different proposition for the Burnley we last saw in the Premier League as well. Fulham, I'm going to try and keep this one short and snappy because I think I spoke quite a lot about them in the last video. Guys, Marco Silva turning down Saudi Arabia is huge. It's absolutely massive. Squad of players are going to love that. They're going to absolutely love that. He's turned down loads of money and this crazy opportunity, probably to manage better players as well. I know it sounds insane, but the way Saudi Arabia and, that private investment fund and stuff, the way they've been operating, that Saudi, it's starting to look good to managers. You can manage good players, earn loads of money, and be in this this place and live kind of the life of luxury if they don't live it already in West London. I just think that's huge. Again, Mitrovic leaving or potentially leaving. I don't know whether that's been confirmed yet. I know that he's not a very happy bunny. Not been confirmed yet. But that's, Mitrovic leaving is huge. But again, Raul Jimenez has come in. I'm not trying to compare Raul Jimenez to Mitrovic. We know that Mitrovic is twice the player Raul Jimenez is, especially at this point in each of their careers. I love the Calvin Bassey signing as well. He's a Premier League an English football kind of proven and experienced player, right? With his history, I believe it was at Leicester and a couple of other places as well. I think he might have a homegrown status there too, which is really good. So to get that for 22.5 as a starter is big business. We know the English tax and how big of a deal it is. And then time spent at Ajax, perfect for what's going on and happening going forward there as well. Players leaving, again, there's nothing really to talk about here. Lots of kind of older players not of terrific quality. I still think Fulham are going to do stuff in the transfer window. I think, maybe another forward might be signed as well. There's talk of interest in Fred from Manchester United. That's been very, very common as well. But I do just think that Marco Silva staying is going to totally unite this dressing room. And I think Fulham will have another really, really good year. Again, I'm probably a little higher on them than most people, but I think Marco Silva's a great manager, and that move from the off-season is going to be big. Ninth, yes. Sorry, Tottenham fans. I've got you in ninth. Yeah, guys, Kane won't be there. Kane won't be there. Daniel Levy is not a moron. Daniel Levy is not going to let arguably Spurs' greatest ever player and all-time top scorer leave for free to join probably another Premier League football team and sign and score 30, 40 goals a year for them. It's not going to happen. Bayern Munich are very stubborn negotiators, but I don't think Bayern Munich will be able to offer enough money. I do sincerely think that, especially we'll see what happens with Chelsea and the Lukaku situation. I know Spurs and Chelsea and the rivalry and stuff, and lots of Spurs fans go, he'd never join Chelsea. Guys, Mauricio Pochettino's at Chelsea. He might like the idea of earning more money and, potentially being able to win stuff. And I know you might be thinking, what at Chelsea? What are they going to... Guys, Chelsea are perennial winners. It doesn't matter what situation Chelsea are in. Chelsea can just come off finishing 9th, 10th, 6th. They could win the Champions League. They could win the Europa League. They could win an FA Cup. Chelsea are serial winners. Chelsea win. That's all they do. They don't care about how they do it. They just win. That could be tempting. Guys, if Manchester United are able to sell the likes of, Harry Maguire, McTominay, Van der Beek, this huge bloated squad they've got, Eric Bailly, Alex Telles, all these guys, this bloated squad that they've got, I'm telling you, come late in the transfer window, that's easily something that could happen. 191 million euros has been spent so far. 25.5 has come in. I'm just saying that transfer record of 166.2 with more some of these guys have already left, but some of these other players in this big squad, if they also leave the club, they could easily find space for Harry Kane. I think the rubber has to meet the road at some point. And what I mean by that is we can't be living in fantasy land anymore. Daniel Levy's not going to let Kane go for free. Kane has made it pretty clear at this point that he doesn't want to be at the football club anymore. And Bayern, I don't think, can afford and it doesn't seem like want to offer the money that Spurs would want. So I just think at some point, as we get later and later into the window, Spurs are just going to accept the bid, the highest amount of money for the player. again, Ange Postecoglou, I think Spurs will be workmanlike. They'll be fun to watch. They'll be likable. I never personally understand the hate for Spurs. I think they're a largely like inoffensive team. I always quite like Spurs. But yeah, I don't expect Spurs to be there. Are Kulusevski and Son going to be back to their best? What are we going to see out of Richarlison? Is the defense going to be sorted out with signings and stuff? The goalkeeper position, just there's way too many question marks, and with the best, well, arguably one of the best players, if not the best player in the league, leaving as well. Yeah, Kane's the MVP of the Premier League and has been for a while. Maybe Salah, you could argue for Liverpool a couple of years back, but Kane is the MVP. The most valuable player to his team is Harry Kane to Spurs, no questions asked. As much as Erling Haaland is big and De Bruyne is big for City and stuff, again, I think you could throw in a Phil Foden for a Kevin De Bruyne and a Julian Alvarez for Manchester City. I still think Man City would be really, really, really good. Kane, you take away from Spurs, it's a completely different animal. So that's why I've got Spurs in ninth. And again, you can not like it. It's fine. It's just my prediction. That there's no way they're making top four. And then also, if you look fifth, sixth, etc., and you start looking at the other teams that I have in around there, Spurs are way off the pace from those guys. So yeah, ninth for Spurs. Again, it's disappointing, but that's where we are. Eighth, Brighton and Hove Albion. Again, I'll try and keep this one quick because I'm pretty confident and comfortable with where I have Brighton and Hove Albion. And Ciso, I like. João Pedro, I like. Evan Ferguson, I believe they've just signed Mohamed Kudus as well from Ajax, which is a fascinating signing as well. I believe Dennis Undav was sold recently. Where are we? Yeah, God, look at all these guys coming back from loan. Yeah, Pedro, Verbruggen as well. A lot of teams were interested in him, so to get him was a really smart deal. And again, I know you could argue, they paid over double than what he's worth. I think going forward, that's going to be a really nice signing. Igor as well from Fiorentina as well. That's a nice little pickup as well. Mo Dahoud for free, Milner for free. And obviously getting that much for McAllister, again, I don't really rate Alexis McAllister. I think that's fantastic business. Robert Sanchez as well. I mean, that's relatively fair market value. I think Brighton are going to be respected differently. That's the reason I don't have them like way outperforming where, to me, eighth I think is fair. Because teams are going to go into matches with Brighton now and they're going to go, these guys are good. So we're not going to mess around anymore. This isn't a team that's just come up from the Championship and given it their best. Like, no, this is a really good, well-oiled, impressive, to be reckoned with football team. You hear managers like Pep Guardiola talk glowingly about what De Zerbi and the Brighton organisation has done. And guys, I want to give De Zerbi credit. He does deserve it. But Graham Potter was also doing a really nice job there before. I know it didn't go well at Chelsea, but the whole organisation is operating brilliantly. The recruitment is going well. Brighton, in terms of making the most out of your money as you can, Brighton are killing it right now. Credit where credit's due for them. Seventh, I've got Aston Villa. Guys, Villa's transfer window has been insane. I did watch a video recently with Sam Tighe, who's done stuff for Bleacher Report and stuff in the past, and he talks about where they've made signings is not necessarily where you'd want them to be making signings. Like, they've not made signings where they're weak. They've made signings kind of where they're strong. But again, there's something to say for keeping your strengths strong as it relates to football. Guys, Moussa Diaby's a huge signing. Linked with loads of top teams, Paris Saint-Germain, lots of top Premier League teams. Pau Torres, again, is a guy who has been linked to every top team in the whole of Europe. Yuri Tielemans can play for a hell of a lot of good teams. To get him for free at the age of 26 is insane as well. I'm sure his wages are pretty high, but again, that's fine. Again, probably need some recruitment at fullback. I would say that's kind of a big deal. Again, I know they signed the left back. I forget his name. He got hurt. Anyway, Luca Digne is still a nice player at left back. Matty Cash, somebody maybe at right back as well. So I think they could do with a fullback. Another midfielder, like a holding midfielder, proper holding midfielder, I think would be good for them. But again, you can't deny the quality of the players that have been brought in. Again, they could probably do with offloading a couple of players. But generally speaking, yeah, very, very high on Villa. They're lucky to have Unai Emery. He's a great manager, but there's a lot of talent. And I think they'll surprise a lot of people. They're going to be defensively very strong and offensively very dangerous as well. We still haven't seen the best of Emiliano Buendia. Ollie Watkins is a stud. There's talent there, serious talent there. Sixth and also staying in the spot is Chelsea. Yeah, look, guys, every other notification I get on my phone is that Chelsea have signed a player. It's absolutely mental. They're spending so much money. You know, the just sheer numbers of players that they've brought in over the last couple of years is absolutely insane. But again, credit where credit's due. You can see the expenditure there, 207, right? Look at the income. They are selling as well. And again, you look at some of these guys, making the money they have off of them has been very, very impressive. Kai Havertz for 75, that's insane. Mason Mount for 64.2, also insane. Kovacic, I think they got fleeced a little bit for that, but I think he really was really keen to go. You know, obviously they've taken a great deal, taken advantage of Al Hilal, Ittihad and these kinds of teams. But again, they have sold very, very well. I think it's just the consistency. I love the squad quality. I think the squad quality is insane. They're still working out the kinks in trying to get rid of people like, I think, Hakim Ziyech, I think, still needs to go. Lukaku, a couple of other players that they could probably do with getting rid of as well. I think Marc Cucurella, again, wildly overrated football player, could probably do with getting him out and maybe signing somebody else of better quality. But yeah, Pochettino is going to improve this Chelsea team dramatically from where they were before. I just think the lack of consistency, I can't see them breaking into top four at all, or top five, really. I really can't. Again, it's tricky because you're going to watch Chelsea play at times this year and you're going to go, oh my God, that's the best team in the league. With Mudryk running at you, with Noni Madueke running at you, with Nkunku running at you, if they sign somebody like Dusan Vlahovic, Enzo Fernandez keeping things tidy at the back, there's so much to like about this Chelsea team going forward over the next few years, but I just think right now it will be inconsistent and a bit ropey. So 6th for Chelsea. Newcastle, I do have dropping a spot. I've got them out of the Champions League places. I do have them in 5th. They're going to find it difficult this year, I think, a little bit more, similar to Brighton. I think they're going to be respected as a big team now. All these teams from kind of Aston Villa down are going to start looking at a team like Newcastle and respecting them like they would Chelsea, Arsenal, Manchester United, Manchester City, Liverpool. That's what I think will start to happen. And obviously it's a new thing. I think Eddie Howe is capable of being the manager to steer that team in the right direction. And guys, Sandro Tonali, in terms of recycling possession, keeping things neat and tidy, it's a really kind of transformative signing. Isak is still super dangerous as well. Bruno Guimaraes is still there, very, very dangerous. Mikel Almiron was like the best player in the league in spells last year. So I do back Newcastle to still do things, but I think consistently making top four going forward is going to be harder because they have to play differently. You have to. That you'll notice from the teams that get relegated from the champions, there's apart from Leicester City when they won the league, there is a way and a couple of metrics which you can follow which indicate success in winning the Premier League. Most of the time, passes completed, possession, more shots, less shots faced. There's loads and loads of indicators as to whether a team's going to have success. When you're down at the bottom of the table, you're going to have negative forms of this stat category. You're going to rank badly in this stat category. The higher up you go, you're going to have more of this. That's just the way it works. And again, I think Newcastle are going to... unfortunately, not find out the hard way, because I've still only got them finishing 5th. I'm still not going to rule them out finishing 4th. I'm pretty sure I've had them 4th in my last 2 videos. I just think it will be tricky for them, and teams are going to start playing them differently this year, tactically. Yes, so Newcastle drop out. Liverpool into the top 4 places. The reason why my thought process has changed on Liverpool a little bit is I still don't think they're done in the transfer window. I still think somebody like Romeo Lavia might come in. And obviously there's loads of question marks, loads. And I'm still not very super high on them. I've seen some people have Liverpool like 3rd and 2nd and stuff. There's no way. I still think Liverpool could easily finish anywhere between 4th and 6th, I think, is where Liverpool are at the moment. I think one thing I personally underestimated from last year, the injuries for Liverpool were absolutely nuts. Luis Diaz, Diogo Jota, especially in the attacking positions, it was really, really tough for them. and there was a couple of guys who had to play out of position, playing probably too many minutes. But again, too many question marks. The whole midfield has been torn out. Mo Salah's getting older. Darwin Nunez has question marks. I'm still pretty unsure on this Liverpool team, but I think if they have injury problems like they did last year, I'll just be amazed. So the squad will, generally speaking, be a bit fitter. Another slight bombshell, maybe, is I've got Arsenal finishing third. Again, Arsenal are going to be respected like they would be if they were a title challenging team, because they're a title challenging team. They were, I believe, they were number one in for the Premier League for 35 of the 38 game weeks last year. These guys are no slobs. Again, I like the consolidation of some of the signings, and we can show them here, especially because I think age is obviously super important. 24 for 116.6 million euros, 24 for 75 million euros, 22 for I love. Age is great, right? Position need, great. All these good things is very, very good. Players leaving, great, good, fine. Don't need any of those people, fine. Like, all this good stuff. But I look at the starting 11 for Arsenal, and I wonder if it's gotten any better. Partey's better than Declan Rice right now. I'm sorry, he is. In a couple of years, maybe not, and we might see the fruits of that signing, right? Maybe it's a future Arsenal captain, right? English fills one of those homegrown spots, tick, all this stuff, younger, tick, all this good stuff. Kai Havertz playing at 8, it's a bit of a risk, but it's a huge, huge improvement on say, Granit Xhaka. I'm not even confident anymore that they're going to do Rice sitting as a 6 with Odegaard and Havertz in the games where they're clearly the better team. Jurrien Timber coming in, okay, it's going to keep the centre-backs honest and keep Ben White honest as well. But is he a huge... If one of them starts over the other, is that a huge upgrade in a serious position of need? I'm not sure. Gabriel Jesus injured again. I don't love that. And again, I think... Are they going to be mentally affected by last year? A team has never lost from the position they were in, I'm pretty sure. 35 out of 38 game weeks finishing number one at the end of the game week, and you lose the league title is bad. Again, I can't believe I have to have this conversation with Arsenal fans. Arsenal had a phenomenal year last year. I just wonder if there'll be some sort of impact from that last year. European football's back. Champions League football's back. Players have earned big money contracts. Are they going to kind of go, oof, got my money now. I can kind of chill. Not as hungry anymore. I don't know. It's really close here. I don't feel really strongly about it. It's why I had Arsenal finishing second for the past 2 videos, but I do have them finishing third now. Again, I'm not going to mess around with this anymore. Manchester United here. Manchester City here. Yeah, guys, look. Rasmus Højlund is a huge gamble for the amount of money spent. A huge gamble. It may pay off. The kid's 20. In 5 years' time, we might be looking at a 25-year-old Rasmus Højlund and going, oh my God, look at this guy. But for right now, huge gamble. I don't think it moves the needle enough for them to be title challengers or anything like that. I think I also read somewhere he's injured, so he's not even going to be able to play straight away. I think Erik ten Hag's a really good manager. And I think that some of the signings have been really, really good. Mason Mount's been good. Andre Onana is going to be transformative. And again, I think Manchester United will pick up a lot of points from kind of that Chelsea, Aston Villa, Brighton, maybe even Newcastle in there. That the Europa League, Conference League place is down. I think they're going to pick up a lot of points from those teams because of Andre Onana and the ability to play out from the first phase and be more direct, move the team higher up the field as well. Developments of the likes of Garnacho's huge as well. A lot of players there who were kind of exciting last year, who I think will develop and grow into themselves a little bit more as well. And again, I just think Erik ten Hag's a great manager. plain and simple. I think they'll be able to push a little bit more. But again, they've moved up to second, not because I think Manchester United have done this great, improvement and are now better than Arsenal. I think Arsenal have kind of dropped off a little bit. That would be my only thing. And yeah, guys, Manchester City, Vardiol comes in, hugely expensive centre-back in a place that, in my opinion, was already the strongest, arguably the strongest part of their team. Laporte, Stones, Ruben Diaz, Akanji, Nathan Ake. I mean, I might even be missing somebody as well, but they signed him too. Okay, fine. I still think Man City signed players. I don't know who, but I still think Man City signed players. I still think there's a winger out there who Man City might sign. Was it Lecco? Jonathan Lecco, I think, somebody. Anyway, they've been linked with a couple of players. Come the end of the window, I just refuse to believe that this is how the transfer window is going to end. I like the Mateo Kovacic pickup. I like the Gvardiol pickup as well. It's Pep Guardiola, it's Kevin De Bruyne, it's Erling Haaland. The train's going to keep on rolling here. I hope that's not the case. And again, guys, I'll be honest with you. I'm looking at, from Manchester City down to Spurs, I'm looking at good football teams. I'm looking at 9 really good football teams. It just in terms of general overall quality. Hopefully Manchester City can be pushed a little bit. I hope they can. But we have to just marvel at what we're witnessing. This is insane. He's making the league a bit of a joke, to be honest with you. Again, I'm sorry that anybody who was hoping I was picking another team to win the league, Arsenal fans, Man United fans, Liverpool fans, yeah, Man City are going to win the league, guys. I'm sorry about that, unless we see something crazy happen. Again, guys, it's a bit of a hot take from me, but if Manchester United sell the guys we think they're going to try and sell, guys, Manchester United might be able to sign Harry Kane. And it's a completely different conversation that James and I would probably need to do a video about. Anyway. Oh, it feels good, actually. I just had a weird moment of feeling good. I feel really good about this table prediction. I will say that Man United-Arsenal spot, I feel like, can be flipped around a little bit. But apart from that, I'm feeling pretty good. And I think the only thing that will change my opinion at all on my final table prediction is going to be transfers, which is why there will be a video at the end of the transfer window just to square everything away. Like I say, if Liverpool sign Romeo Lavia and then sign another player, and I think, oh, okay, or if Newcastle do get Kvaratskhelia, right, I'm just giving a few examples of, if Man United get Kane. There are transfers that will change this, but right now I feel pretty good about this. Let me know your thoughts. I want to hear your table predictions. Guys, Friday, the league is back. Friday, the league is back. Okay? I want to hear your predictions prior to the first game week. That's the important bit about the version 3, video. James and I will be back at you with more consistent content when the league season is up and running. My club, AS Roma, has spent €0 in the transfer market, so I'm going to be very excited to watch Jose Mourinho try and pull a rabbit out of his rear end in terms of doing anything with Roma this year. But guys, are you excited about the football season up and coming? I certainly am. Drop your comments, drop a like on the video if you like what you've seen as well. And guys, until next time, I'll see you.